whether you want to talk about that now or whether we want to get into it and then we talk about it a bit at the end. Do you have a preference?
I don't. But
No?
Okay. Look, if I'm going to recommend an approach, I'd love to hear a little bit more about the macro
the whole
design process and where the videos might fit to play out.
yeah, at udmode.edu.au.
So, I've got the course outline and the answers to all the sort of little questions I had.
Yes, yeah.
And ideally, I'm hoping that we get somewhere along the line today of mapping out a visual of the new unit in terms of the online component and the breakdown between it and the intensive, and create sort of a visual, what they call a macro.
Yeah.
But before we begin, it would be great just to get a snapshot again of the structure of the unit now in terms of it seems to be sort of a 5-day intensive, but also maybe has some tutes or lectures.
Yes, yeah.
So it's getting just a snapshot of its current structure and any thoughts you've had about where you're wanting to head it, or the whys, what you're trying to achieve by it.
Sure, and I can give you a full report on all that. So I guess the key thing is the context in which it's situated.
Yeah.
So it's one of the units or the subject in the Masters of Producing course at the VCA. Now, at VCA there's various specialty streams, producing being one, directing being another, acting being another, screenwriting being another. The role of a producer, which we convey to the students for their kind of ongoing careers, requires an awareness of all those other aspects.
Yes.
So the screenwriting intensive is our mechanism by which we introduce producers to, first of all, the whole idea of screenwriting and the fundamental principles of it, particularly with a view to them understanding it from a producer's point of view, not from a screenwriter's point of view. So that's the key element. Yeah. Further to that, we're not training people to be screenwriters as the screenwriting course would.
Yes.
So we're just giving them an introduction to the general principles so that when they get out into the world as a working producer, they can converse with screenwriters in their language.
Yes.
That's the aim of it.
Yep.
Now the student body that we get coming into the Masters of Producing, and I'm assuming you're aware of the type of cohorts that come into Masters, they're often people who want to retrain, so they've come from somewhere else, they've already had a work or academic experience often in other spheres. Yep. So just because they're doing a Masters of Producing doesn't mean they've done an undergraduate in producing.
Yes.
So we have to kind of assume for the course overall and for the screenwriting element that they don't know anything.
Yeah.
However, some of them do know a lot.
Yes.
So we've got to strike a bit of a balance between those who've got a background in filmmaking.
Yes.
And even those who have a background in filmmaking are less likely to have a background in producing because it's a rarefied thing. But many of them, for instance, have done cinema studies, those who have a background, or might have done some sort of directing or editing as filmmakers. So half the cohort would be that, and the other half are people who've done finance, business, computing, etc., know nothing.
Yes.
So the whole course and the screenwriting course is got to strike a balance between those two things. Yeah. And in the context of producing overall, which is an 18-month course, and although there are moves afoot to turn it into a 2-year course, we're only giving 5 to 7 days to screenwriting as an introductory element. Yes. Although we keep returning to it, the principles that we want to convey in this course, we just keep coming back to from various angles in every other aspect of the course. So that's the context to it. Yep. The course itself was established 2 years ago, pretty well when I started teaching this course. So I came in from the outside as a working producer, and I've come in as a kind of a practitioner. Yep. and I was asked to, by the management down at VCA to set up a screenwriting course, and I had about a week to do it. And that is, the students were about to arrive and there was no content, so I kind of came up with what we currently have on the fly, and have been attempting to evolve it bit by bit. And now we've reached a point, I've done it for 3 years now, I've done my third go at it, where we can evolve it because we know what it is, and we know what the detail is, but we just need to kind of build some sophistication and complexity around it, and some, guided learning outcome elements, which were not the first things we thought of. The first things we thought of were, what's the information? How can we get it across in a week? So that's the kind of background. So consequently, it's 5 days full time. So it's kind of 9 to 5. We then, as you say, do have, if required, a couple of other add-ons to it. And now those add-ons have only happened in past years if one of those 5 days has been compromised by some other commitment. So we've always allocated 5 days plus maybe 1 or 2 others, depending on what happens in those 5 days.
As in, like, if one's a public holiday?
One's a public holiday, or if the guest lecture that wasn't available, or if the other class groups whom we interact with, so we do interact with screenwriters and directors, if they can't attend when we need them to. So consequently, we've just had a bit of flexibility, but ideally it's 5 days.
And it mentioned for, I think, the oral presentation that they present in week 8. Is that they all come together?
They all come together. So that's right. So that's the issue. So the oral presentation is a chance for them to test what they've learned and present it to the class. So we give them a few weeks to actually go away and do that preparation, which would involve some reading. So it's a tutorial type scenario where they get up and they've got 5 minutes and they've got to present. So yes, that is part of it, and that's one of the assessment tasks. And that kind of takes better part of a day now that I think of it. 2 weeks later. So there is that extra day. That's correct, and that's one of the, as I said, a key assessment task. The other assessment tasks are all written, and they're not due till the end of the semester. So I've just received them all, and I've got piles of reading to do now. So, anyway, so that's kind of. Does that give you a snapshot?
That's a snapshot of where we've been, and now where we're wanting to head. You're wanting to trim back the intensive and move some of that material online for the leader? Probably what we'd like to do is have it online as a way of really kind of deepening and systematising it, so that we can convey more information in the same time frame. To do it in a more kind of contemporary kind of learning technique way, because at the moment it's just been myself presenting, clips from films, samples from my own career, some technical information, doing it all on a PowerPoint. And we think it can be more interactive than that, and can be more detailed. So I'm very aware that we could convey a lot more detail than we currently have if we systematise it online. And is the reason that it appeals to be doing sort of more detail for these learners that are coming to it with some of the background?
That's part of it, yes. So those who have got a working knowledge, we can go deeper for them. So that's correct. It's also to free up time during that week, so that it's not all just classroom teaching, that we can do more practical exercises. So
do you have a sense of whether it would stay 5 days, or are we shrinking?
I think it would stay 5 days. This would be a way of putting more into it, in a way, and giving more workshop capacity. Because a lot of the principles of this that we're trying to convey, you kind of learn by doing. So you've got to have a general theoretical input, but then you've actually got to practice the technique, and there's little time to practice the technique. So we basically would want to free up